Part 6 Constitution of India. Article 166 Conduct of business of the government of the state. All executive action of the government of a state shall be expressed to be taken in the name of the governor. Order and other instrument made and executed in the name of the governor shall be authenticated in such manner as may be specified in the rules made by governor, and validity of an order or instrument which is so authenticated shall not be called in question on the ground that it is not an order or instrument made or executed by the governor. The governor shall make rules for the more convenient transaction of the business of the government of the state, and for the allocation among minister of said business, in so far as it is not business with respect to which the governor is by or under this constitution required to act in his discretion. Article 167 Duties of Chief Minister as respect the furnishing of information to the governor. तो पहला इंफॉर्मेशन है to communicate to the governor of the state all decisions of the council of minister relating to the administration of the affairs of the state and proposal for legislation. Second, to furnish such information relating to administration of the affairs of the state and proposal for the legislation as governor may call for. And last one, if the governor so requires, to submit for the consideration of the council of ministers any matter on which a decision has been taken by the minister but which has not been considered by the council. Part 6 Chapter 3 The State Legislature General. 168 Constitution of Legislature in States. For every state there shall be a legislature which shall consist of the governor, and in the state of Andhra Pradesh, Bihar, Maharashtra, Karnataka, Tamil Nadu, Telangana and Uttar Pradesh 2 houses. B. In other states 1 houses. The second clause, where there are 2 houses of the legislature of the state, one shall be known as a legislative council and other as be legislative assembly, and where there is only one house it is called as legislative assembly. Abolition or creation of legislative council in states 169 है. Notwithstanding anything in Article 168, Parliament may by law provide for the abolition of the legislative council of the state having such a council, or for the creation of such a council in a state having no such council, if the legislative assembly of the state passes a resolution to that effect by a majority of the total membership of the assembly and by a majority of not less than 2/3 of the members of the assembly present and voting. Second, any law referred to any clause 1 shall contain such provision for the amendment of this constitution as may be necessary to give effect to the provisions of the law, and may also contain such supplemental, incidental and consequential provision as Parliament may deem necessary. No such law as aforesaid shall be deemed to be amendment of this constitution for the purpose of Article 368. Article 170 जो कि सब्सटीट्यूटेड बाय 7th Amendment 1956, composition of legislative assembly. Subject to the provisions of Article 333, the legislative assembly of each state shall consist not more than 500 and not less than 60 members chosen by the direct election from territorial constituencies in the states. Article 171 Composition of Legislative Council. The total number of members in the Legislative Council of the state, such as council, shall not be exceed 1/3 of the total number of members in Legislative Assembly of the state, provided the total number of members in Legislative Council of the state shall no less than 40. Until Parliament by law otherwise provide, composition of Legislative Council of a state shall be provided in Clause 3. Clause 3. Of total number of members of Legislative Council of the state, A. As nearly as may be 1/3 shall be elected by the electorate consisting of the members, municipalities, district boards and such other local authorities in state as Parliament may by law specify. As nearly as 1/12 shall be elected by the electorate consisting person residing in the state who have for at least 3 years graduate of any university in the territory of India or have been at least 3 years in the possession of qualification prescribed by or under any law made by Parliament as equivalent to that of graduate of any such university. See here, as nearly as may be 1/12 shall be elected by electorate consisting of the person who have been at least for 3 years engaged in teaching in such educational institution within the state, not lower in standard than that of the secondary education school as may be prescribed by or under any law made by Parliament. As nearly as may be 1/3 of the elected member of legislative assembly of the state from amongst persons who are not members of the assembly. The remainder shall be nominated by the governor in accordance with the provision of clause 5. Article 172. Duration of state legislature. Every legislative assembly of every state, unless sooner dissolved, shall continue for 5 years from the date appointed for its first meeting, and no longer an expiration of the said period of 5 years shall operate as a dissolution of assembly, provided that the said period may be while a proclamation of emergency is in operation be extended by Parliament by law for a period not exceeding 1 year at a time, and not extending in any case beyond a period of 6 months after the proclamation has ceased to operate. The Legislative Council of the state shall not be subject to dissolution, but as nearly as possible 1/3 of the members thereof shall retire as soon as may be on the expiration of every second year in accordance with the provision made in that behalf Parliament by law. 173. Qualification of membership of a state legislature. A person shall not be qualified to be chosen to fill a seat in legislature of a state unless he is a citizen of India and makes and subscribes before some person authorized in that behalf by the election commission an oath or affirmation according to the form set out for the purpose in the third schedule, as in the case of a seat in the legislative assembly not less than 25 years of age, and in the case of seat in the legislative council not less than 30 years. She possesses such other qualification as may be prescribed in that behalf by or under any law made by Parliament. 174 is substituted by First Amendment 1950. 174 session of the state legislature prorogation and dissolution. Governor shall from time to time summon of the house or each of the legislature of the state to meet at such time and place as things fit, but 6 months shall not be intervened between its last sitting in one session and date appointed for first sitting in the next session. The governor may time to time prorogue the house or either house, dissolve the legislative assembly. 175. Right of governor to address and send message to house or houses. Governor may address the legislative assembly, or in the case of a state having legislative council, either house of the legislature of the state or both houses assembled together, and may for that purpose require the attendance of the members. The governor may send messages to the house or houses of legislature of the state, whether with respect to a bill then pending in the legislature or otherwise, and a house to which a message is so sent shall with the convenient dispatch consider any matter required by the message to be taken into the consideration. 176. Special address by the governor at the commencement of the first session after each general election to the legislative assembly, and at the commencement of the first session of each year the governor shall address the legislative assembly, or in the case of the having legislative council, both houses assembled together, and inform the legislative of causes of its summons. Provision shall be made by the rules regulating the procedure of the house or either house for the allotment of time for discussion of the matters referred to in such address. 177. Right of ministers and advocate general as respect of the house. Every minister and advocate general for a state. 177. Every minister and the advocate general for a state shall have right to speak in and other to take part in the proceeding of the legislative assembly of the state, or in the case of a state having legislative council, both houses, and to speak in and otherwise to take part in the proceeding of any committee of the legislature of which he may be named a member, but shall not, by the virtue of this article, be entitled to vote.